All right, Mr. Reed and Mr. Credible, was he able to make it in?
He is, Judge.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Credible. I think he's on. I think you're on mute, sir.
Can you hear me, Judge?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
All right. Regards to Mr. Thomas, I saw that. I didn't know if it was in person or usually the motion and seal are done in person. I wasn't in set up Zoom session, but I don't see any pleadings in the jacket. So I didn't, when I came here, I saw that. I think the last file marking here is 2009.
And
so,
Judge, I guess the only reason I really wanted to pop on here is just to let you know from the perspective of juvenile services, I've reviewed the petitioner's motion and we're not opposed to it. We're just going to leave it to the discretion of the court on what you'd like to do. I'm happy to provide any other input that you would ask for from the perspective of juvenile services, but we're leaving it to your discretion on what you'd like to do with it.
Well, thank you, sir. I hope you're doing well.
Yep. Good to hear from you, Judge.
Thank you. All right, so this is the detention docket for the 323rd District Court for Friday, January 29th, 2021. In compliance with the Texas Supreme Court Emergency Order number 33, we are not conducting in-person proceedings. However, we are on Zoom to conduct this court hearing remotely. To comply with Article 1, Section 13 of the Texas Constitution, also known as Open Courts Act, we are broadcasting these proceedings on YouTube so the public may have meaningful access to observe what happens inside their courtroom. However, this is still a court proceeding, so the court does expect everyone to behave appropriately for court. That means please be dressed appropriately and behave appropriately. Do not use a restroom, to restrain your domesticated animals, do not be laying down in bed. Also, if you are not an officer of the court, we do expect you to have a camera on, free from distractions or movement in the background. The court does ask everyone to refrain from having bright lights from behind them, as that shadows out and obscures your face. No portion of this live stream may be copied, recorded, or broadcast. Violations of this order are punishable by contempt of court of up to 6 months in the Tarrant County Jail and a $500 fine. All right, so let's go ahead and start with Victor Alvarado, who is currently in the Tarrant County Jail. All right, Mr. Alvarado, I'm Judge Kim. This is a 10-day detention hearing. I've been holding you for 10 days, so I'm reviewing your case to decide whether to keep you in custody or to release you. If I keep you here, the law says you have to see a judge every 10 days while you're here. You have a right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. Your attorney, Mr. Youngblood, is here present. Good morning, Mr. Youngblood.
Good morning, Judge. Can you see me, Victor? I can't see you.
Yes.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
So, and Victor, you are currently in the Tarrant County Jail because of your age and because of your behavior here at juvenile detention. So, this is the offense. Let's see. I'll go over this. September of last year, you were referred out of custody for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Victim and another male were walking. They identified you as a shooter of a driver and a driver of a silver truck. After being shot, both men ran to Avenue M. He'd been shot in the leg. So police are called there. The victim said that he knew you because you went to school together, but could not identify the shooter. So the other victim provided the name of Victor Alvarado as a driver, and they contacted your mom, said you were being investigated, and your truck had been towed and impounded. And yeah, so the other victim said they were walking through the park when he was shot and did not fire back, nor did he have a gun, and described the victim and the companion. They described the victim and the companion to the police. Okay, so the police went, I guess, to your grandmother's home, found 2 firearms in the trash bin outside the house, fingerprints, DNA taken, and you evidently had a warrant out for your arrest because in April, there's a warrant issued saying that on March 28th, police were dispatched for a shooting, found an unresponsive male with a gunshot wound to the chest. Shooter left the scene, but witnesses gave descriptions of the vehicle, and the victim died at the scene. So there was a witness heard a boom, screaming. There was surveillance video in the area, and I guess another witness said that the day before there was an argument at a basketball game, and that you got upset, came back with a BB gun, and then evidently the next day came back with a real gun, according to the victim. So, all right, Mr. Alvarado, just because of your history and what was happening during the case, I guess while there's an investigation for murder, you evidently are identified as a suspect in a shooting call. I'm very concerned about the safety of the public as well as yourself to release you. If anything, I'm also concerned about retaliation against you. I think you deserve a day in court. So I'm going to go ahead and detain you until, really, I'm inclined to detain you until trial, but we'll see how it goes. Okay?
Your Honor,
Thank you, Mr. Alvarado. Yes, Ms. Youngblood.
because he is where he is there any way I could maybe communicate with Mary and set up a Zoom hearing with him this afternoon? I have a very serious plea bargain offer to offer him from Mr. Bumberg.
Yeah, absolutely. Just get in contact with Mary, and we'll just have to give the sheriff a little bit of notice to make sure he's available on the computer terminal there at the jail.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I be excused?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Youngblood. Have a good
you.
weekend.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Sheriff, thank you very much for bringing this inmate. James Arango. Mr. Arango, I'm Judge Kim. This is a detention hearing. You've been here for 10 days, so I'm reviewing a case, deciding whether to keep you here to release you. If I keep you, you have to see a judge every 10 days while you're here. You have the right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. And so, James, you've been here for about 30 days. You're level 1 outstanding, and you just turned 16 a couple weeks ago. All right, so, see, James, Grand Prairie Police brought you in. They're saying on January 2nd, there was a shots fired call. The 911 caller told the police that somebody was firing into her fence. They got there, saw a female standing outside the vehicle, 2 males inside. The police could smell weed, so they searched the vehicle, and you had a .40 caliber pistol in your left pocket, which was a stolen weapon from 2011. So they also found marijuana, a second handgun in the vehicle, so you were transported here. And you were positive for marijuana. You had no history with this department. Mr. Nava, are you here?
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to figure out. Victim's assistance is saying that there's no victim to this offense, but the narrative says that somebody was shooting into her property. So do we know anything about this? I mean, when we talk about offense, what was on the, like, was her house hit? Was it just a fence to nowhere, to a field? Do we have any
This is the neighbor's fence. This is what the report says.
Right, but I'm just saying, so, I mean, when bullets go through a fence, they have to hit something.
That's correct.
Do we know any information about this?
No, sir. It shows, all it says that it hit the fence and the victims, or at least the neighbors, heard it, but it doesn't mention where it landed, if it hit anything, if it struck anybody, none of that.
All right. Well, Mr. Adler, you're substituting in for Mr. Masek, but your office with Mr. Masek, correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Adler, do you mind passing a message to Mr. Masek? If he can get me information, like I'm concerned that the fence, and it was shot through a fence into a building, or there may have been kids there or something like that, and the danger to the community. If it turns out it's, hit the fence, but otherwise there was no danger to something else, I mean, basically I'm saying if a gun was fired safely, if that makes sense, then I'm probably more inclined to release him. I'm waiting on information. Because if it turns out that, there's a children's play set right on the other side of the fence, then obviously that's a different situation than it's just a field. So, Mom, I see you raising your hand, and I'm going to wait because I want Mr. Masick, he knows what I'm looking, the attorney knows what I'm looking for.
Okay,
So I just want more information regarding, I don't have it here. And so there's nothing to indicate that a building or children or property was damaged other than the fence.
correct.
Mr. Ansley?
Your Honor, I was taking a quick look at the report. It says, and there's not a lot of information, but it says they heard shots fired and that the handgun was being fired into her back fence line at a piece of metal. So therefore she called 911.
Okay, at the fence line.
Correct, at a piece of metal, which doesn't give any more details other than that, Judge.
So we don't know if the metal was on his own property or neighbor's property or anything like that?
Does not indicate, Your Honor.
What, do we know what neighborhood this happened in? I don't need the address, just what neighborhood.
I can look it up on Google Maps real quick, Judge.
Like, is it a dense residential area? Is it semi-rural?
Based on the map, if it was the Grand Prairie address at 509 Royal, it is a neighborhood.
Mom, do we know where the gun came from?
I do not, sir. That was the first time I've seen or heard of it.
Mom, part of my concern is if I was to let him go, he would just go out and get another gun, right?
Well, I can assure you that he's not going to do that. I'm going to be more careful and more aware of his friends and his whereabouts, and we're going to put him back in school. I feel like he has too much free time, and I have been talking to the truancy officer. We're going to work on getting him back in school.
So was he expelled from school?
I know, sir.
So he was in school when he got picked up? I mean, it was over the holiday, but he was enrolled?
Correct. He was doing virtual. So I'm going to get him back into school.
Mom, do you know where he's getting the weed from?
I do not. And I haven't had a chance to really like sit down and speak to my son to see what is going on with him and to address the whole situation, and talk to him, see what we can work on.
What were his grades like last semester?
His grades were not too great, but
Okay, what's not too great?
they're like, 'cause he was staying with his father. He was staying with his father then, and he's going to come back home though now with this whole incident. We have shared custody, him and his father.
Okay,
And so I just want him to come back home so he can just get back on the right track. I think he's a good kid. My son's a good kid. It's just this last year, it's just whenever, I guess too much time on his hands and the friends he was hanging out with. So I'm just going to make some changes there and just keep him busy, do more productive things. We have a part-time job lined up for him already, and get him back into school and just get him focused back on what he needs to do.
Your Honor, can I add one more bit of potential clarity?
yes, sir.
So the offense location appears to be the address for Mr. Arango. In looking at the report, 2 subjects were at a vehicle parked in the grass at that location. So it appears that allegedly the shots were being fired in their own, while standing in their own property.
All right, James, what am I gonna do? Your level outstanding, you've managed to keep it since the 17th, all right? So it seems like you're making the effort that you know what it takes to be a level 1 outstanding. You understand what it takes to comply with the rules when the rules are explained to you. You understand what do not associate means. You understand how to actually behave, all right? So I'm gonna go ahead and release you to your mom. All right? I'm gonna release you on a sweat patch because you have a history of drug use. You cannot use drugs while you have a pending case. And I'm gonna put you on electronic monitor. So you're only gonna be where your mom gives you permission to be, all right? You're also, Mom, when you say his grades are not good, what does not good mean?
I believe the last report, he was failing his classes.
Okay, so you are gonna pass your classes. If you're not passing your classes, I will bring you back here and enroll you into the Fort Worth campus here at Kimbo, all right?
I already got my grades and up in like half my classes already.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
Are you, well, we'll take baby steps. Are you getting C's and everything?
What do you mean, sir?
C's, the letter C,
C's.
Like,
your
are you-
grades. A, B, C, D, F.
A and B's and some are C's.
All right. So your average has to be over a C. You understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm giving you this chance. You understand how I feel about kids with guns, right? You understand why I've been keeping you. And you understand if you get your hands on another gun, next time it's going to be that much harder for you to get out.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Mom, I'm expecting you to let us know, Mr. Nava know, if your son's giving you any kind of attitude at all. If he's not a level 1 outstanding in your home, then he needs to come back here and prove himself again. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mom.
Thank you.
Terry and Franklin. All right, Mr. Franklin, I'm Judge Kim. This is a attorney requested hearing. I'm deciding whether to keep you here or if your attorney has a reason why I should release you. If I keep you here, you have to see a judge every 10 days while you're here. You have the right to remain silent and you have a right to an attorney. Ms. Taylor, for what purpose did you request this hearing?
Good morning, Your Honor. Thank you. I had spoken with my client and I'd spoken with his grandfather, who I believe brought paperwork showing he has legal guardianship over this young man. Of course, he wants to go home. When I requested this hearing, I had spoken with the grandfather to make sure that there'd be a suitable environment to release him to. And I'd also confirmed that he was level 1 outstanding.
All right, so I'm going to ask Mr. Kroll. I see you got to level 1 outstanding yesterday. How far did you drop down?
Your Honor, he just dropped to a 1A. There was a couple minor infractions the day prior for not following instructions, dropped him from 1O to 1A straight back. And if I may add, the original detention hearing, we did not have the correct information for the grandfather who's a guardian, which was the reason for, I believe, for his detention.
Did we not give him a drug test when he came back in,
Says
Mr. Kroll?
the information was incorrect and it had to be corrected. So he came in looking like a first time in our system.
Right.
Once it was corrected, realized he had the prior history. We had an error when he first came in. It wasn't letting us add everything up, misspelling in the name.
Grandpa, how long have you had custody of your grandson?
Ever since he was 5 years old, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. So you've had him for a while. Are you worried about his drug use?
No, sir.
Okay, who does he affiliate with? Does he hang out with any gangs or cliques?
No, sir. No games.
You and I understand how important that is, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I most definitely understand how important it is.
All right, well, then your grandpa's here, and he has a good energy about him. So I want to release you to him. But a couple things. One, if I release you, it's going to be on electronic monitor. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right. Next thing is, we didn't give you a drug test when you came in, which we should have. So at this point, I am curious if you're smoking weed or using other drugs or not. So this is where I'm at. I can either, well, I'm gonna give you a drug test, or I'm actually gonna do a hair fall, nail bed test on you, okay? And it's just gonna go back up to 6 months of your history, whether you've used any kind of drugs or not. And that'll tell me that way, because I think it's important for grandpa to know if you're actually using drugs or not.
Yes, sir.
So here, we're at a point now where I'm going to ask you a question. You're not going to answer the question yet. My question is, when I give you this nail bed test, are you going to be positive for anything that you shouldn't be? Now, before you answer, there's 3 ways this works out. One, you say, Judge, I'll be clean. And then you know what, you're clean. And we won't give you drug tests. We might give you random, but probably not very often while this case is going on. And you'll be fine. The second option is you tell me you're clean, but you're dirty. And well, the second thing is you tell me dirty and we'll test you and figure out what you're dirty for. I'll ask you what you're dirty for. And I'll do some kind of supervision to make sure you're not using drugs, but more importantly, your grandpa will know and you'll impress me that you're being honest. The third option is you tell me, you lie to me, say you're gonna be clean, and you actually show up dirty in the last 6 months, and then you're gonna have a lot more intensive supervision while this case is going on, all right? So that being said, I'm gonna ask you, if I give you this drug test, are you gonna be clean or dirty for the last 6 months?
Dirty.
Okay, what are you gonna be dirty for?
Marijuana.
Marijuana, that's it?
Yeah.
Okay, so Mr. Crawl, let's go ahead and give him a nail bed test, all right? You can come in out of custody to do that. Darian, if it turns out that you've clipped all your nails short before you submit the sample, I'm assuming you're dirty for everything else, heroin, PCP, all that. So make sure you don't clip your nails. Mr. Crawl will go ahead and schedule. We'll release them today on EM. Yes, sir?
Oh, you mean my fingernails?
Your fingernails or toenails.
I be biting my fingernails, but they're not too short. You know?
Okay. Yeah, we'll be able to do that. And so Mr. Crawl, we'll go ahead and have him come in out of custody for that. We'll release him today on EM. All right. I want to send it to the lab just so Grandpa knows exactly what he's using and how long he's using it for.
Can I say
Darian,
something?
as long as, yes, sir?
I'm aware that he smoked weed. I'm aware of that.
Well, I just asked you if you know he uses
I
drugs.
mean, I'm aware that he has, I'm aware that he's smoked weed before. That was a while back. I don't know.
What's a while back for you?
I'd say about 2 months.
Okay, but when I asked you, does your grandson use drugs? You said no.
Well, I mean, I suspected that I've never caught him. I've never caught him at all.
All right, Grandpa, look. I asked you, you said no. And then you just said you know he uses weed. And then now when I ask you again, you're saying you suspected it. So
well, I found it. I've heard empty windows from his friends before that he did.
But you just said you never seen him smoke weed, but now you're telling me you found weed on him.
I apologize, but I do have an idea. I mean, I'm 60 years old, so I got a good inclination. I know about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to know. So we'll give that test. Darian, if it turns out that you clip all your nails so we can't get a sample, I'm just going to go ahead and take you into custody. Okay, so make sure you don't do that. And then, Mr. Crawl, we'll put him on not a random but a regular UA schedule just to make sure he's not using. Okay.
All right.
I'm kind of worried about we're at this point now where I think we just need a little bit more supervision. He's not a lost cause. I just don't want him to turn into one. Okay.
No, do I?
Darren, you just got to follow the rules. Just be a kid, right? Don't break the law. Don't avoid the law. Okay. All right. Thank you, Darian.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ethan Hernandez.
Judge.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor.
Thank you.
All right, Ethan, I'm Judge Kim. This is a detention hearing. I'm deciding whether to keep you here, to release you. If I keep you here, you'll see a judge every 10 days while you're here. You do have a right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. Mr. Masick is your attorney, but Mr. Adler is stepping in for him today. If I keep you here, you'll have to see a judge every 10 days. So you're 16 years old.
Yes, sir.
And then police brought you in yesterday about they're saying 5:40 APD gang officers were patrolling where there's been in an area where there's been recent shootings. They saw 2 subjects that they were familiar with walking in a roadway towards traffic, which is a pedestrian violation. So they were stopped due to your history of violent offenses. You were brought in last July for burglary of a vehicle. You were brought in last March for criminal trespass.
Yes, sir.
And it's like you're not getting tired of coming here. All right, so you were searched. You were found with Both were found with a 9mm handgun with 1 round in each magazine. Both were arrested for unlawfully carrying a weapon. And you tested positive for weed. All right, well, Ethan, you know how to stay out of here. And obviously you're not doing it. Do we not have a parent here?
No, sir.
All right. So when you have a gun, when a kid has a gun, I detain you. That's the decision that you made. That's a risk you ran. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if you do enough to convince me that I should let you go into the community. Thank you, Ethan. Kendrick Giles, we did out of custody, or we did in person. Nathaniel Ponce.
Judge, he's on the way, sir.
All right, thank you. Mr. Ponce, I'm Judge Kim. This is a detention hearing. When a kid's brought in, you have to see a judge within 2 days. I have to decide whether to keep you here, release you. If I keep you, you have to see a judge every 10 days while you're here. You have the right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. We have appointed Mr. Beaver as your attorney. Good morning, Mr. Beaver.
Good morning, sir.
All right, so Nathaniel, so you're 16 years old. Yesterday, about 7 o'clock in the morning, Arlington was dispatched to domestic. You were the 911 caller saying you're scared of your stepfather. They investigated and realized that you and your stepdad got into an argument about how you treat each other. Stepdad said you've been disrespectful and defiant, and that when you spit food onto the living room floor, he went to discipline you by grabbing you around the legs while you were going upstairs. You had to wrestle, and you put your stepdad in a chokehold. Stepdad insisted he did not want to press charges, as well as the biological father there to pick up your son due to the fight. The police arrest you for family violence by impeding breath or circulation.
Yes, sir.
Do we have a parent here? Yes, I guess mom.
Son.
And are you dad or stepdad?
Stepdad and dad are here.
They're both here.
Hey, Dad, can you speak to Charles?
All right, Nathaniel, you've never been here before. All right, mom. All right, what's going on, mom?
I don't know. It just came out of the blue.
Here's my thing. Is this an ongoing problem? Not Nathaniel's attitude, but violent behavior.
Oh.
Right? Is this something that's just escalating and now this is a new level? Or is this just a first time one-off? You're not sure what happened?
It's the first time one-off. He's not like that.
Okay.
Anybody knows him. He's not like that.
Okay. So what is the plan now? If I was to let Nathaniel go, where would he go?
He's gonna go with dad or sister. She gave her house. It's wherever he chooses to give him time.
Sorry, sir.
So wherever he chooses to go to have time off. And I haven't spoken to him. I don't know how he feels.
Okay. How old is the sister?
His sister is 27. She'll be 28.
So Dad, you're saying that Nathaniel would come and live with you?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry, that's a yes?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. Are you concerned about the safety of anybody in your home if Nathaniel comes with you?
Oh, I won't think about it, but I know.
He's not understanding the question.
Oh, okay. Ms. Rodriguez or Mr. Adler, or no, Ms. Beaver, I'm sorry, Mr. Beaver speaks Spanish. Mr. Beaver, can you ask the dad if he's concerned about the safety of anybody in his home if I release Nathaniel to him?
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay. Señor Ponce, ¿usted tiene miedo por los miembros de la familia si Nathaniel fuera a vivir con usted?
No.
No, he does not have.
Okay, so is dad asking me to release him to him?
Señor Ponce, ¿usted quiere que Nathaniel vaya con usted para vivir con usted?
Wow. Esto pasó apenas ayer. Mi hijo está en seguridad en mi casa. Y no hay ningún problema con nadie, ningún miembro de mi familia. No hay ningún problema.
Ok. Señor Ponce, ¿usted quiere que Nathaniel viva con usted?
Espérate. Yeah. Wait. Señor, yo pienso que sí.
Okay, sir, I think so. So I asked him if he wants his Nathaniel to live with him, and he said yes. Earlier, he said that he was not worried about the safety of anybody in his home.
So, I mean, I need a sí or no.
Yes.
I mean, it's either he's asking me or he's not asking me.
Ok, señor Ponce, el juez quiere escucharle si usted quiere que Nathaniel viva con usted o no viva con usted.
Sí.
So, yes.
All right, Nathaniel, hopefully you understand the situation. If it's like I'm being told, things just escalated to a different level and where a line was crossed, okay? Look, if you want to be a kid, I'll treat you like a kid. If you want to be an adult, I'll treat you like an adult. And adults a lot of times have to stay here at Kimbo, okay? Go do your thing, just be a kid. Be respectful, follow the rules. Do you understand, Nathaniel?
Yes, sir, I do understand.
All right, let's get you out of here. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Okay, God bless you.
All right. Jaqueline Spencer.
Yes, sir. Okay.
All right, Mr. Spencer, I'm Judge Kim. This is a detention hearing. You've been here for 10 days. I'm deciding whether to keep you or release you. If I keep you here, you have to see a judge every 10 days while you're here. You do have a right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. If you're not a foreign attorney, we'll provide one for you. Your attorney, Ms. Herrick, is not present. I am asking Mr. Adler to substitute for her. All right, so Jaqueline Spencer, Arlington PD brought you in. You're dispatched to a residence where you're at. You had a warrant for ag assault in front of Fort Worth, so they arrested you. When they arrested you, you had weed in your pocket. So back in May of last year, about midnight, police were dispatched for a shooting call. Victim had a gunshot wound, which hit his femoral artery, and the leg had to be amputated. So the victim reported he was intoxicated when he went to apartments with friends. Not sure what happened, but one of the witnesses said when they got there, victim and a group of black males started arguing. Victim was trying to fight him. Young black male came out of a car, approached with an AK-style rifle. And the black male shot one time into the ground and then shot the victim in the leg. And they left the victim in the parking lot. Another witness identified the shooter as Q. And let's see, I guess you admitted to shooting back in December of last year. So after the shooting, so I guess Ms. Turnerhill, are you here?
Your Honor, I'm covering for Officer Turnerhill.
Okay, so Mr. Gear, so he was here for shooting, and did we let him go?
Let's see.
Because it's saying that the subsequent referral in December of 20.
The subsequent referral, that was an out of custody referral.
But the offense date was December 4th of 20. The shooting was May of 20. So if he was brought in, or was he brought in on the assault and then the shooting case came in after?
It appears that way, Your Honor. I will have to pull up the police incident report to see when the actual incident took place, but we received the complaint on December 21st.
Well, look, here's the thing. I mean, you're level 2. You're not even level 1, so it doesn't even really matter to me. You can't behave here at Kimbo, then if I let you go, you're not going to behave at home. All right? Jaqueline, I see your hand is raised. If you have a question for me, I'll answer your question. If you want to tell me something, I'm sure the attorney does not want you to tell me anything. All right? You have a question? All right, what's your question?
I've been here the whole time since November 8th. I got arrested November 8th, and I've been here ever since.
So what's the question, though? It sounds like you're telling me something.
Now, the question is, I got a next detention on the I think February 12th, and I was wondering if I keep my level, would you consider letting me go on the EM, or before my court date? Because I got court date on February 17th.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, this offense is really serious, right? I mean, somebody had to have a leg amputated, evidently. And so, and then you also have other assaultive history. And then you're level 2 also, that you're not, your behavior level's not one outstanding. Your court date, your trial is on February 17th. So I'm just, I'll consider everything at the next 10-day hearing. I don't know one way or another what I'm going to do. I can tell you, if you're not level 1-0, I'm not considering it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You have to get there to even start the conversation. All right. All right. Thank you, DeQuaylen. DeQuaylen. All right. Fernando Trejo. Mr. Trejo, I'm Judge Kim. This is a detention hearing.
Yes, sir.
Law said when a kid's brought into our facility, you have to see a judge within 2 days. I have to decide whether to keep you or release you. If I keep you, you have to see a judge every 10 days while you're here. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to an attorney. Mr. Adler is your attorney. So you have got, let's see, you're almost 16, you turned 16 in a couple weeks. Let's see, yesterday, just before midnight, or 2 days ago, just before midnight, North Hills drove into Fossil Creek Park, saw 2 cars with 1 subject outside the car. So the police got up there. 1 walked from the Impala toward the Mustang. One of the officers trying to identify everyone. The driver of the Impala accelerated quickly, making the officer think he's interrupted a drug deal. So when he did a traffic stop, the driver began to evade, ran stop signs until he hit a curb and disabled the vehicle. There was a felony stop, and Fernando was identified as the driver. There was an apparent adult as a passenger. Well, all right, Mr. Victorson.
Yes, Your Honor.
You get something here. You said the car was registered to Hernandez. Which Hernandez?
My understanding is the passenger of the car was the registered owner.
Okay. All right. So inside the car, they found, in close proximity to both people, some cash with a small baggie of presumptively cocaine, a baggie containing LSD, 9 baggies of cocaine, baggies of white and blue Xanax tabs, 2 containers with THC, a water bong, pipe, grinder, and scale. And the Xanax was confirmed with the pharmacist. So both suspects were arrested.
A couple of things, Your Honor. We did do a drug test this morning too that came back positive for marijuana and cocaine. And a supplemental police report came in that said that the pursuit was actually about 30 miles. They were arrested off Regal Row and Harry Hines in Dallas County, and that the speeds exceeded over 100 miles an hour at times.
Oh my God.
Okay. Well, look, Fernando, it looked like you or a child of house release will put the community in danger, if not from the apparent drug dealing, from the high-speed chase, and you would, looks like you'd be a danger to yourself because of the cocaine use. Does Mom speak English?
Yes.
Okay. Mom, did you know that he was using cocaine?
No.
Okay. So, yeah, so I've got to protect himself. And also, Mr. Trejo, the fact that you would run from the police makes me worried that if I was to let you go, you would not appear for court. So I'm going to go ahead and detain you.
I got a question.
Yes.
All the stuff that he have, I just noticed that you guys said whoever owned the car is the passenger of the car. So all this stuff is Fernando, or is that he's driving for the other guy?
Well, so in Texas, there's something called law of parties. So that's where if multiple people all either plan or commit a crime together, they're all guilty of the same crime. So if you and I decide to rob a bank together, right, and I don't know, one of us shot somebody, we're both guilty of murder, okay, because we did the crime together, okay? So this is one where if, you know, they can prove that the drug dealing was done working together, they'll both be guilty of it. This is what he's being charged with is not just possession, but manufacturing or delivery, drug dealing of the Xanax, drug dealing of the cocaine. The marijuana is just a possession, but right now, I'm pretty sure nobody's really worried about the marijuana. So he's looking at, because of the quantities, the weight of the drugs, the cocaine, he's looking at 1 to 4. So he is looking at up to 10 years of commitment from this.
What?
Yeah, up to 10 years because of the weight of the cocaine. So he could be committed for up to 10 years. If it was an adult charge, it'd be 2 to 10 years in prison.
If you hear a dual, is 2 to what?
Ma'am, I hate to interrupt there, Judge. Ma'am, I'm his attorney. Can you and I just have a conversation later? Because you're not helping your son right this minute, talking to the
Okay,
judge.
okay.
Please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just let you know, this is serious. This is a really big deal. Also, the evading arrest of the motor vehicle, that's up to 10 years in prison for that offense. Right. So this
Sorry,
is,
Judge. I
oh,
didn't
no,
mean
it's
to
okay,
interrupt
Mr.
you.
Butler. I appreciate it. So, Mom, just let you know, this is serious. Trejo, you have to understand this is a serious situation too. You need to get your behavior level up to give your attorney something to work with, to give a good reason for you to get probation. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go into 10
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Everett. All right, that will conclude detention docket. Everyone have a beautiful weekend.
You too, Judge.
Excuse me, Judge.
Yes.
Excuse me, Judge. Regarding Mr. Ponce, did you want him released on the EM?
No EM for him. It seems like the parents have control of the situation.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, sign release response. Have it. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez.